Alright, so just going to do a quick tier list for the best concentration professions. On top of this, I'll do a single concentration round of each of the professions, listing how much I made after I've ranked them all, and compare the results of the gold made to my tier list. So to begin, obviously we know which one's the king, and that's going to be enchanting, up in the S tier. Now the reason that enchanting is the king is because it has all three aspects which are needed to be making the most gold from concentration, and those are the high price difference between rank 2 and rank 3 materials, a high amount of materials needed per craft, and the third is that it returns 100% of the concentration used when ingenuity procs. Some of the other professions don't have this and they only return the baseline 50%. So if we come here for just enchanting quickly, a popular one to do is Authority of the Depths, and for this it takes 75 Storm Dust. And here we have like a 48 difference in gold just between the Storm Dust. It's also another, 160 gold difference here with the crystals, and 30 here for the gleaming shards. So obviously on top of having large difference between the rank 3 and rank 2, it also requires a lot of materials. The other good ones for this reason is any that uses the herbs like Lure Drop and Arathor Spear, because again, Lure Drop rank 3 89, and then the rank 2 is just at 17 gold 30. So there's a big variance between the cost of these. However, the ones that use herbs don't use quite as many materials as enchanting does, and that's why enchanting is up here in the S tier. So next up, this is an old, just imagine this is a spanner, but this is an old version of engineering. Engineering can make a decent amount of gold, but it's annoying to set up because you have to discover the things. So it's not ideal for an old army, and you're not going to make your gold back for a fair few rotations. Also, the things you get from it aren't the highest sellers. So considering that, I might put it down in the D tier. Now, alchemy is the same as engineering in that sense. It's annoying to set up because you have to discover the flasks and things. And then you're also going to need a lot of points just to be able to actually craft rank 3 things. So even if you're using rank 2 materials with alchemy, unless you've spent a decent amount of knowledge points, you actually can't even reach the breakpoint to use concentration and go from rank 2 to rank 3. So it takes a long time to set up, but it does net you a decent amount of gold if you do have it set up. So I'll probably put it in the B tier for now. Blacksmithing. Blacksmithing's another one that's you kind of pigeonholed really into only doing the alloys. Sanctified alloy, the prices are all basically the same because they just rely on the tinderbox, so you can't concentration craft them. So you're left with charged and iron claw alloys. Currently right now actually might not be the worst time because bismuth has actually had a bit of a price difference between its rank 2 and rank 3 version right now. Oh, it's come down a bit. Oh no, that was a bait price. So yeah, right now on the US realms, I don't know what's going on with rank 3. This was down at 40 gold another time, or even 30 gold actually. So we're up at 66, and then the rank 2 version's down here at 12 gold 80 silver. So right now blacksmithing wouldn't be too bad. However, overall it's not the best one. So, because what you're going to do is you're going to craft the alloys, which take 2 core alloys. So the difference between rank 2 and rank 3 is like 300 gold. However, you only use 2 of them, so that's 200. So that's 600 gold to craft. The difference between the Acrite or Iron Claw you use on those is negligible. So you're only getting the profit from these core alloys. Blacksmithing does, however, have the concentration return on ingenuity proc up to the 100%. So I might put it here in the C tier for now. Maybe down with the actually I'll put it in the D just above engineering. Engineering is going to make you more gold than the blacksmithing if you assume everything sells, but the blacksmithing, obviously the sell rates on alloys blows engineering out of the water, so we'll leave it up here. All right, inscription. This is the one I probably think is in A tier. I think this is probably the second best profession for concentration crafting. Now the reason is you can do sigils, Vanis runes, contract, and like I showed, the difference between the rank 2 and rank 3 herbs is actually quite high. So that means the inks you make from them with a high variance. The contracts require 25 inks, which is actually pretty high, but the new contract for Undermine, where is it? It uses shadow inks, which is the Orbanid and Blessing Blossom. So they're obviously don't have a bigger variance between rank 2 and rank 3 as the Apricot inks do. So that contract's not going to make you as much gold. So you're probably looking at the Vantis rune, which requires 5 and 5. The downside of this though is you're going to need to get the reputation, so it's not really alt friendly if you're doing the Vantis rune for Undermine, and you need to be level 80 on top of that, so you can't just have an army of 70s in order to do this. But if you did have an army of 80s, Inscription is definitely the second best one, and this is going to be the seller next patch. But even if you just do it on 70s, the Dark Moon Sigils are still decent because the difference between Boundless Ciphers rank 2 and rank 3 is obviously huge as well. And then the most selling one is the Ascension, which is the Shadow Inks, but you can go that way as well, and you can do that on the 70s. I've already lost my thoughts, unfortunately, but the Inscription also does have the 100% concentration return on Ingenuity proc. I don't know if I already mentioned that. I suppose I could just edit this out, I'm an idiot. But yeah, that's why I'm going to put Inscription in the A tier. So if you have an old army of enchanters and you're looking for a second profession on them, I would recommend inscription. Next up is jewel crafting. It was decent at the start of the expansion because it does use a fair bit of materials. Like you require 20 crushed gemstones, and I think like rank 2 crushed gemstones are around 20 gold on US realms, whereas I think it's 60 for rank 3. So that's 40 gold times 20 there, 800 gold per difference on each craft, and the gem cutters is like another 20 on that or something, because you require one of them. But the problem is the gems actually require a lot of concentration to do, so you can really only craft 3 per 1000 bar, and that's even if you are a spec into it. It also doesn't have the concentration return of ingenuity. You can't pick that up, so you're only getting the 50% back. So yeah, this one's probably down in D tier now. Leatherworking, I'll probably put in the not concentration tier. It doesn't have much going for it. The price difference between the leather and the hides, because if you're doing the armors, the late-fused hide, you only use 2 of them to create the armor, and there's a very small difference between the rank 2 and rank 3, and then you use 60 leather, if I'm remembering off the top of my head. Even if it's chitin, the difference between rank 3 and rank 2 leather and chitin is it's negligible, so you're not making any money from concentration here. So that's leatherworking is not a concentration build. Even in the next patch where they're bringing in this charged armor kit, which is obviously going to be a seller, it's the same deal. It's crystal fused hide, which is simple to get, and like I said, the rank 2 to rank 3 is no difference in price, and then it's 60 storm charge leather, so you're not going to be making much gold from leatherworking. And lastly, we have tailoring, which I'm going to put in the not concentration tier as well, which might surprise some people. Tailoring was amazing in Dragonflight, but this expansion for concentration, it's as good as mining. So what you'll see is like you can do the spell threads, or the other one you can do is Duskweave lining. But the problem with this is, this requires Duskweave and it only requires 2 bolts. And then the Sunset Spell Threads, Duskweave again, and it's 8 bolts, so you're thinking better because it's more materials. But look at the price of Duskweave. Rank 2 and rank 3 are basically the exact same price. So the value of your concentration, there's not, like, it doesn't exist. It's coming solely from the Gleaming Shards, which is a 30, so 150 gold per craft. So tailoring for concentration build, not the go this expansion, unfortunately. And that's why I have it down in the not concentration tier with leatherworking. All right, now I've done this tier list, I'll go and do a round of concentration on all these builds, except I'm probably going to skip tailoring and leatherworking, because like I said, you can't make gold with these 2. I'll do the rest of them and we'll see how much gold I make and how much it costs me. Obviously one round isn't going to give you the most accurate results, but it'll give us some ballpark. So after doing the concentration round on all my characters for these professions, the one that came out on top is actually engineering with the energy redistribution beacons, but we'll recheck in on those in a moment because I actually don't think they're going to sell, and if they do, I'll eat my words. But I should have probably done the jumper cables with engineering, and if I had, then it would have been down more here with blacksmithing, or even actually down here with the jewel crafting. But based on these results, if these things sell, it's up here in the S tier currently. The inscription was the next best at 12,000. Just made Vantis runes. However, I did get a proc of 6 and 4 out of the, I did 5 crafts, so just out of the 6 and 4, that's another 11 plus the 3 more, so 14 Vantis runes out of 5 crafts, and that's why that number's like up at 12,000. So the enchanting's at 9,900 gold. I did 5 Authority of the Depths crafts. That's with, so you can do 4. I got 1 in, I got 1 Ingenuity Breakthrough. However, I did not get a single Resourcefulness proc, and also that 1 Ingenuity Breakthrough where you see people on the Discord saying I got 8, 9, 13, 15. Ridiculous amount. So the enchanting was actually a pretty unlucky run, while the inscription was an incredibly lucky run. So the gold difference between those is going to be more in the enchanting favor over the long term than the inscription. Then it came down to the jewel crafting, and I did get a multi-craft proc, so I got 5 actual gems, but the difference between it is really not much. So I did the 3 crafts of the emeralds, and the profit was only 2,396 gold. So it was actually, if I didn't get that multi-craft proc, it would have been actually pretty close to the same price, which is ridiculous. That's why for this and on this one, I'm almost tempted. I'm going to move jewel crafting down to the D, and I might put engineering up here on the C with blacksmithing up here on the C. I think jewel crafting's dropped off hard. For the blacksmithing, I made charged alloys. I only got 1 multi-craft proc, so that was 4,000 gold, and that's why it's up here. I just did leatherworking just to see, and I did 3 crafts of a storm armor kit. I got 4. I had a multi-proc craft. However, the value, even with that multi-craft proc, came out to basically the same as the cost, and this number doesn't include the auction house cut, so I'm going to have lost gold on leatherworking, so it belongs rightfully in the not concentration tier. Tailoring I didn't even bother doing. So yeah, that's how much gold I made out of my 1 run. So engineering came out on top on just that 1 run, but obviously overall enchanting's going to be the best one in my opinion. Well, actually enchanting's not up for debate, but in my opinion the second best one is obviously inscription, and then it's really a drop off from there. because even though the alchemy and alchemical chaos one is up there, it takes a while to set up, like I mentioned earlier in the video. So that's not really an alt friendly one. So blacksmithing might come out as the third best alt army friendly concentration build, actually, looking at these numbers, because it's the easiest to set up. Engineering is hard to set up. So from the gold I made compared to my original one, let's redo these tiers up. Just kidding. One more thing. Let's have a look. The flask sold already. So that's another reason why the alchemy one's good, because you're going to go through the materials quickly. Let's see how many of the enchants sold. All 5 of the enchants sold. But if we come down to my engineer, oh, what do you know? All of them are still up there on the auction house. And this is where engineering falls off. Obviously, the concentration amount you can make is great, but it's no good if they don't sell. So I should have done the jumper cables, which would have pushed engineering far down the list. So this is my final tier list. I've moved everything down except for inscription and enchanting. So obviously we have enchanting at S tier and then inscription in A. They make much more gold than everything else except for alchemy, but obviously because of the problem setting it up, I've moved alchemy down. Then I got blacksmithing in the C tier. Even though it doesn't make as much gold as alchemy, it's an easier one to set up for alt, so it's probably the next easiest to set up and makes the most gold for an alt army after these two, so it's in the C tier. Then obviously we got alchemy in the D, just because of the investment it requires to set up. It's just no good for alt, and unless you're spending the rest of the expansion doing it, in which case it might even be second up with inscription, but that's going to require you a lot of dedication. So unless that's something that interests you, yeah, down in the D tier. I've got F, the engineering and dual crafting, because I obviously moved them all down because I feel like there is a gap between these two and the rest. So engineering, as you saw, and spoiler alert, they still haven't sold. So had I done the jump cables, this would even be lower. And then the dual crafting, they have sold. So that's a good thing about dual crafting, is that the gems will sell. The problem is you don't get much gold, so that's why it's down in F tier. Then we have tailoring and leatherworking in the not concentration builds, essentially. But really, there should be another tier between these two, because these two are still better than these. However, if you disagree with me, feel free to talk rubbish in the comments. I won't mind. And thanks for watching. Later.